As you are all aware, AI security is one of the important aspects of national security. In the areas of technological development and industrial innovation, the country has all along stressed the equal importance of development and safety. And in the two sessions which concluded recently, the central government's work report expressly stated the need to continuously advance the AI Plus initiative, unleashing the creativity of the digital economy. In order to implement the spirit of the two sections and the Hong Kong government's innovation and technology development blueprint, and in order to facilitate the safe and healthy development and use of AI in Hong Kong, my office published the checklist on guidelines for the use of generative AI by employees today. The guideline has been published to help organizations develop their internal policies or guidelines for the use of generative AI by employees, while at the same time complying with the requirements of the Personal Data Privacy Ordinance. The guideline is presented in the format of a checklist in order to make it easier for organizations, in particular SMEs, to make reference to the checklist to develop their own policies or guidelines for the use of generative AI. As a matter of good practice, I would encourage organizations develop their own policies or guidelines in alignment with their respective values and missions. On the right-hand side of this slide, you will see some examples of generative AI tools which are commonly used in the workplace. These include AI chatbots, OCR, optical character recognition, and generators for text, image, video, or voice. And there are several ways to utilize generative AI tools. For example, the tools can be installed and run locally on the employee's computer. They can be hosted on organization servers, or more commonly, they can be accessed through web-based tools on the internet. And here are the recommended coverage of the policies or guidelines on the use of generative AI by employees. They cover scope, the protection of personal data privacy, the lawful and ethical use of AI and the prevention of bias, data security, and also the possible consequences for violations of the policies or guidelines. Given the time, I will only highlight the more important areas here. Firstly, the scope of the policy, internal policy on AI. We recommend the policy to cover at least three aspects: the permitted tools, permissible uses, and also policy applicability. For permitted tools, the policy should clearly specify the generative AI tools and applications permitted within the organization. For example, whether they are the publicly available AI tools or applications, or for larger organizations, whether they are the internally developed AI tools or applications. For permissible uses, it's important for organizations to specify in the policy the tasks or activities for which employees can use generative AI, such as drafting documents, summarizing information, creating textual, audio, and/or visual content, such as creating a picture or a video for the promotion of the organization's products or services. The policy should also specify whether it applies organization-wide to specific departments, to specific ranks or groups of employees. The second area which should be covered by the policy is the protection of personal data privacy. For this particular area, the policy should specify the types and amounts of information that can be inputted into generative AI tools. For some organizations, they may want to restrict the input information to openly available information. And for some organizations, they may want to ban altogether the input of employees' personal data or the input of customers' personal data. On this, I would like to say that organizations should note the requirement of the privacy ordinance. And it is that organizations should not use customers' personal data to train any AI tool if they have not informed their customers of such use. In addition, if the use of such data for the purposes of training AI tools constitute a new purpose of use of the data, they will need to notify their customers and obtain their consent. The other area to be covered by the policy is permissible use of output information and the permissible storage of output information. In this regard, the policy should require the output information to be stored according to organizations' information management policy. They should also be deleted according to the organization's data retention policy. In other words, the data, insofar as it is personal data, they should be deleted as soon as it is no longer in use. Further, the policy should also specify, or the organizations should also ensure that the policy aligns with the organization's other relevant policies, such as the policies on data security, the policies on the handling of personal data. The third area is lawful and ethical use of AI and prevention of bias. For this particular area, the policy should state expressly that employees shall not use generative AI tools for unlawful or harmful activities. In particular, they cannot use AI tools to perpetrate voice, such as by using AI deepfake technology. The policy should also emphasize the importance of employees acting as human reviewers. This means that employees should be required to verify the accuracy of the output information. Organizations should also ensure that the output information is not biased or discriminatory. The policy should set out the correction and reporting mechanisms in cases where the output information is biased or discriminatory. The policy should also provide instructions on when and how AI-generated output should be watermarked or labeled. This is important because the absence of watermarking or labeling can be misleading to the organization's customers, and this may even undermine customers' confidence when they realize that what they are looking at is only something generated by AI. The fourth area, which should be covered by the policy, is data security. For this particular area, it should cover permitted devices. The policy should specify the devices on which employees are permitted to access AI tools. They can include, for example, office computers, work mobile phones, or tablets. Organizations should consider whether they are prepared to allow employees to use their own devices, personal devices, to access AI tools. And if this is not permitted, they should set out such requirement in the policy. The policy should also cover permitted users of AI tools, whether it applies to the organization in general or only to specific groups of employees. On top of that, the organization or the policy should also specify that robust user credentials, including strong passwords, is mandatory. Employees should also be required to maintain stringent security settings and to report AI incidents according to the organization's AI incident response plan. And what are AI incidents? This can cover data breach incidents, the fact that the output information contains unlawful materials, or the output information contains biased or discriminatory materials. All these can be classified as AI incident, and employees should be required to report all these incidents to the management. Summarizing, what are the benefits to an organization in having or adopting an AI policy or guideline? I would say the benefits are obvious. They include reducing the risk of data breaches, and that would include the risk of contravening regulations, in particular the Personal Data Privacy Ordinance, thereby lowering compliance costs. Having An AI policy in place will also enhance the trust of customers, employees, and all relevant stakeholders. And by having an AI policy, it will also help to demonstrate the organization's commitment to use AI responsibly and ethically. And this will in turn enhance organizations' competitiveness and also their reputation.